Good morning, everyone. For those of you who are joining us for the first time this afternoon, welcome to DoDEA. For those of you who are hanging around for the second show, thank you so much for staying with us. This is the second in our speaker series in DoDEA. We made a commitment about 4 months ago to try and expand our own staff's knowledge and expertise across a wide variety of subjects that deal with our mission. And a team came together to identify topics and speakers who might be of interest to DoDEA. This is just time in our professional day to kick back and learn something new and to hear perspectives from others to help eventually shape the work that we do. And so this week, we are focusing on the military child. And we are so thrilled and honored to have with us not only some outstanding representatives of our military community, our children we have actually served in the DoDEA schools, some not. We take credit for all of you, I have to tell you. And our wonderful Teacher of the Year from Quantico. So I'm going to introduce all of them and to all of our parents. And a warm welcome. I see we have some folks from the Military Community and Family Policy. Thank you. Anybody else, DC Pass or DHRA? Great. Okay, welcome to DoDEA. Let me get started with some of the introductions. I had the pleasure of meeting Alyssa Solomon, and I want you to keep something in mind as you learn more about Alyssa. She is a 9th grader. And Alyssa's parents, where are the Solomons? Please stand. Norm and Cheryl. Let us say thank you not only for having this wonderful child, but also for your service to our nation. Thank you both very much. Alyssa joins us today, and she is going to talk to us about her experience as a military child. And I think when you hear her poem, because that's how she's expressed herself and her journey as a student, I think you will hear some major themes that we deal with in all facets of our work. Her story is going to touch you in a very special way, I guarantee that. You will go back upstairs and you do your work, and after listening actually to all of our children, it will never be the same again. I guarantee that. It will touch you forever. And when I close my eyes at night or I put my hands down on the computer, I hear these stories of these children. I had the privilege of hearing it last week, and I will do so again today. Thank you, Alyssa, for being with us. Alyssa was also part of the color guard in the performance last week. Abby Erdelatz, she is the daughter of Colonel Scott and Omega. Where are we? I saw you. There you go. Stand up so we can. And thank you both for your service and for the privilege of allowing us today to have Abby with us. Abby is at our Stafford County schools, and Abby is in the 11th grade. And Abby is going to talk to us today about her experience being a military child. What's neat about Abby's experience is that she spent most of her education in a DoDEA school. So she is truly a product of our school system. I think when you meet her, you are going to smile and you are going to say, we do a terrific job by these children. And we are so proud to have you out there saying that you were a student in DoDEA for as long as you have been, and hopefully spreading the word there in Stafford County. And then we have Trent Carlton. Trent, congratulations. And do we have the Carltons in our, yes, congratulations. Welcome to DoDEA. Thank you for your service. Now we need to give a special round of applause here to Trent because he just got accepted to the Naval Academy. And Trent's at Quantico. So how about that? So he's in our DoDEA school. So welcome to everybody. Welcome, Mark and Jocelyn. Thank you so much for being here and shepherding your children along. This month is a wonderful opportunity to take stock, and to think about the lives of our military families. And we talk so often about the challenges that are put in the pathway of these children, whether it's frequent deployments, whether it's the transitions of children. But sometimes we forget the gifts that they bring to us and in our classrooms. And in each and every one of these children who come with a broadened perspective, they have some sense of who they are. They know the world around them. They can put things in context. I think they're superior at being able to manage human relations. I mean, when you meet these children, that is going to strike you that they're going to be able to get up here and in a very confident and comfortable way talk to you all. And I think it comes from not only a great education and a wonderful home, but it comes from being, I think, well-traveled, well-versed, well-exposed, where you are put in situations that make you feel uncomfortable, and you learn to deal with your own emotions, your own sense of discomfort, and you realize that you do have capabilities. And behind each and every one of these children are these fabulous families, and then there are fabulous teachers. And today, we are so honored to have our Teacher of the Year join us. Miss Low, would you please stand so we can honor and recognize you? Coming from Quantico, and she's going to give our keynote address. And I think our DoDEA teachers are so very special in many ways because they are able to understand the needs of our children in an intuitive way. And I want to share a story, not so uncommon, and I'm sure you're not going to find it any more, to you it probably will be, why are we even celebrating this story? Because it's what you do each and every day. But I was visiting a school in the Pacific not too long ago, and a teacher was in a class with, maybe they were about 7 years old, the children, and they were learning how to use adjectives. And they were using those adjectives to ascribe them to somebody who meant something to them. Could have been a friend, a father, mother, aunt, uncle, someone. And a little boy was asked to share his story about his favorite person, or the person that meant the most to him. And he began sharing his story, ascribing these wonderful attributes to his father. But he couldn't make it through his description, and he started to cry. And the teacher leaned over, they're very little, and she hovered over and she said, "My gracious," I think his name was Alex, "why are you crying, honey?" And he said, "Well, my dad is in Afghanistan, and I miss him." And the teacher said, "Well, you don't worry about, let's not worry too much about that today. How would you like me to set up a Skype session with your dad, and you can read him your story? And you can tell him how great he is and how much he means to you." This little boy smiled. She got him back to work. He was all excited that he was going to be speaking with his father. She knew exactly how to dial into that emotion. A few minutes later, she asked a little girl to stand up and read her story. And this little one couldn't get through her story either. And she started to cry. And the teacher said, "Oh, honey, how can we help? What's wrong?" And she said, "Well, my mom is on long-term TDY." She knew that. "And my dad did not know how to make pancakes this morning." And she missed her mother. And the teacher said, "Oh, honey," she said, "my mother," she was from the South, she said, "my mother makes the best pancakes in the whole world. How about if I share my mother's recipe with your daddy, and he can make you my mom's great pancakes?" You see, they're intuitive responses. You dial in on the emotion of children. That's what I think is so special about being a DoDEA teacher. You don't even realize you do these great things, but it is those moments that help our children move out of that emotional feeling of despair into a place where they can begin to learn and grow. So thank you for representing all the great teachers here today in DoDEA and for the great work that you do for our children. I want to start by, I think, with Alyssa's story. So, Alyssa, if you'd like to come, because there's hardly anything really to say that could properly explain a student's life as she moves around with her family. So, Alyssa, come share your story with us. Let me move this out of your way.
Hello, my name is Alyssa Solomon, and I am a freshman from Mount Vernon High School. I've written this poem and I dedicate it to all the military families who do so much. I know. I know what it feels like to move again and again. I know what it feels like to see the brown cardboard boxes never end. I know what it's like to have to adapt to a new environment. And I know what it's like to see loved ones dream of retirement. I know what it's like to have to make new friends just so you can leave them before the year even ends. I've been to the airports waving my last goodbye. I know what it's like to see the planes shoot for the sky. I know what it's like to see loved ones deployed for years at a time. And I know what it's like to have to wait on their calls at 9:30. I know what it's like being up late at night, worrying about your loved ones. Are they all right? But I also know what it's like to see a loved one come home. I've experienced the laughter, the hugs, the joyous reuniting, the storytelling, and the smiles. I've seen the sense of relief in my mom's eyes, the gentle exhale, the soothing sigh. And I often wonder, how did we do it? And then I remember, we're military, we push through it. The military families have endurance, the ability to persevere through even the strongest storms. The military families provide support, and while the soldiers are gone, we hold down the fort. Military families have strength, the ability to face trials and tribulations head on. Military families are the shoulder to cry on when a best friend's dad, who saved his unit, is now gone. Military families are the elite force and do so much to show their support. They extend themselves in times of need, which is the true fulfillment of duty, honor, country. Military families go through a lot at times and are as much heroes as the soldiers they stand behind. And though we are not on the very front lines, we are the strong, supportive, loving, faithful, hopeful, honest, brave foundation that makes the armed forces shine. So thank you, soldiers, for all that you do, and thank you, families, for just being you.
Thank you, Alyssa, for just being you. Thank you for sharing your very personal story with us. And she is in the 9th grade. I think one day Alyssa will be here. And we will be proud to have you, Alyssa. It is a story, isn't it? It brings you to tears to think about their weight. And so whether we're recruiting teachers, don't you want the best for her? So for those in personnel, it becomes more for us, and I want you to know that, than a resume. It's a very personal experience for us. We will do our very best beyond what we think we're even capable of to ensure that the best teachers are there for you, to ensure that our books and our materials take these great minds and move them to places that can serve our nation in the future in a very capable and competent way. We owe that to you. We take that obligation seriously. Alyssa, your story reminds us of how serious this commitment is that we have to you. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for your hard work at Quantico. We appreciate it so much in our schools. Enjoy your journey with us. I'd like to introduce Trent. Trent, come on up. Soon to be in the Marines. Or the Navy. Oh my gosh, that would be terrible. Maybe you'll go to the Naval Academy. Trent is a student, actually Trent is at Quantico, I apologize for that. Talk to us, Trent, about your experience. Tell us what it's like to be a military child. Tell us what it's like to move around, the experiences that you've had, and how it's changed and shaped your life.
Yes, ma'am.
Here you go, honey.
I've got my
Oh, you've got a lavalier.
Well, I feel like I've had a very unique experience in my life. I've been to 3 DoD schools aboard Quantico. I went to Russell Elementary, K through 2nd, Burroughs Elementary for 5th, Quantico Middle High School for 6th through 8th, and I just returned from my 11th and 12th grade year. But in between then, I also went to private school in 4th grade, public school in 3rd grade, and public high school in Orange County, California for 9th and 10th grade. I like a fist pump. Well, there's something different about DoDEA schools. Every kid there has been through something that you've been through. It's just so much easier to make friends, so much easier to talk to people. And when I was in San Clemente at my high school, I felt as if I was different from everybody else. Whereas in DoD school, I am the same as everybody else. And that extends to the staff as well. The teachers at DoD, you get such a close personal relationship with them. I have such a, almost paternal relationship with Mr. Primer, my English teacher, something I never had. As I go to school with 300 other kids. I went to school with 3,500 other kids. So I'm not just a number in a DoD school. They want to see me succeed. They push me for excellence. And that's something that you can't get anywhere else. You get really a private school education by going to a DoD school. And like I said, the teachers want you to succeed. I was offered the opportunity to go to Virginia Boys State this summer, which something that there's no way I think I would have gotten at a bigger high school. I don't think I would have gotten the recognition, I guess, is the best way to put it. But, they're, hold on. I've got no cards. I'm not all that put together. The teachers make it near impossible to fail. You can't slip through the cracks at Quantico. You would have to seriously try and make a concerted effort, more of an effort to fail than it would be to just pass. So it's just like things like that makes DoD schools what they are. My 2nd grade teacher, I saw her at a community service a couple months ago, and she, knew my face. She came up, gave me a big hug, said, "Trent, how are you doing?" I was like, "Miss Anders," and she still talks to my mom and asks her how I'm doing. And that's just such a personal level of that. I mean, it's family. It's not just student-teacher. It's more family. But there are some things that I saw in my public school that I loved a lot. I think that all military kids should have the same opportunities as the DoD kids have. And I think if we allowed kids in, other counties, if their parents are stationed at Quantico, to come to those Quantico schools and have those experiences, I think it would benefit everybody. Because it's a smaller school, there's so much more opportunities for everyone. I think it would just be awesome. Hold on. I also think we can do a better job with career opportunities because we're all so diverse in the military, and this is the same for the kids. And we do a decent job here at Quantico doing it with the RTC program. They do a lot. They've done a lot. They've pushed me to get accepted in the Naval Academy and get accepted in the Merchant Marine Academy as well. So, but I think if we had technical and vocational schools come to the school and talk, it would just serve it, because not everybody's ready for a 4-year college or enlisting. There are many other options. So, but all in all, Quantico schools, my best teachers are Quantico teachers. I have memories of Quantico teachers from kindergarten. I'm going to have them all the way through my senior year that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. And I just think that's just such a great opportunity, and I wouldn't have asked for anything else out of schooling. That's it.
I think you tell us, Trent, and maybe validate for us some of the things that we talk about here in DoDEA. And that's the importance of our teachers making connections to our students. The importance of making a connection to the content, and then making a connection to the community. And I hear in your remarks about how well we have served you. We've personalized the education. We care about you. You're not just another student. We take your success seriously. We follow up with your parents. Doesn't matter whether you leave us in the 2nd grade, 3rd grade, we're connected to you. We're vested in the success of our children. We work on that. Each and every day, Trent, we say to ourselves that whatever we do is an investment in your future, and we care about what goes on in a very personal way. We also take to heart your message to us. We're doing great things by Trent and his fellow students, but he's asked us to go a little bit further, hasn't he? He said it's been a great experience, but you need to do a little better job in helping us understand the world of careers, exposing us perhaps in new and interesting ways to the world in which we might apply our studies. For those, and I think in DoDEA, we largely prepare everyone for college. It may not be their choice, but we prepare everyone to have that experience. It's important to hear from Trent, don't you think? To hear that call to action for us. How do we do that, maybe, in a way, if it's not part of the curriculum, how does it become part of the curriculum? And does it become part of the curriculum in a new and different way? Does it have to be taught, or does it have to be experienced? I think about the community. I think about Quantico as a community. I think about the military as a wonderful host for exposing our children to fabulous careers, whether they're in science, technology, engineering, and math, the languages, and so on. You've given us something to think about in a deeper way, Trent, and so your message we'll take to heart about preparing our children for college and career readiness. Thank you for sharing your story. Good luck at the Naval Academy. Do you have any idea what you're going to pursue in terms of, do you get a choice of studying? Okay.
I probably want to do political science.
Political science, okay. So it's President Trent Carlton?
Hopefully.
Hopefully,
We'll see.
okay. Thought he was going to say Admiral Carlton, but okay, got that. Well, we'll look forward to you on the ballot. Let's talk a little bit with Abby. So come on up, Abby. Why don't you share your story, your life a bit with us. Tell us what it's meant to be a military child, what it feels like to move around and to connect and disconnect and to re-engage and to focus on your studies during all these times. And I think all of us sit here and wonder, how do you do that? How do you regroup so easily? How do you get up in the morning and say, well, this is a strange bunch. Where are my best friends? I've left them behind, especially some of the grade levels in which you children move, where your friends are really important. So, Abby, please join us and share your story.
Okay, well, thank you guys all for coming out today. This has been really great. And I have to say, both of you two have just done a really great job. We can get another hand for them, please. I have to say, Trent, though, I feel like you may have read my notes while I was in the bathroom because you kind of just said my whole speech. But he said it really well, so that's good. But when I was little, the military and changing schools every 2 years was just as much a part of my life as swimming lessons every summer or snow every winter. It was predictable and it was normal. It wasn't a big deal. And whenever I learned what I needed to learn at school and made all the friends that I was going to make, that part of my life or that school year would just kind of come to a satisfying close. And I'd get in a car or a plane and then I would just go start it all over again somewhere different. And that was just how it was for me. I didn't really get, how that could be any different. But when I was in middle school, I think about that time, it kind of started to change. Because like you were saying, you start to develop more deeper friendships, and you get a little more attached to places and to schools and to your friends. And so with each move, goodbyes would be just a little bit harder. And so finally, I was almost 16, and I was moving away from, of all places, Okinawa, Japan. We were there for about 5 years total of my life on and off. And so it was the longest I'd ever stayed in one place. And without realizing it, I'd kind of begun to treat it as a real home. And the concept of like a home is something that had kind of always eluded me as a military child, because I had memories from everywhere. And, who's to say which ones were more valued or special? And so as far as home went, I would usually assign that term to where my extended family lived, which was in California, where my dad's from, because they never moved. So I could always come back to there. But I realized as I was finishing out maybe my sophomore year in high school, I was leaving Okinawa and I didn't feel like I was ready to go. For the first time, I didn't really feel like that part of my life was supposed to be over yet. And so I didn't want to leave. And it was scary because, I didn't have a choice. But before I talk about school, I will say that there are a few things stranger than just driving on a regular old, American highway and just gasping in awe because you forgot how big they were. Because everything in America is so much bigger. Or going to a McDonald's and realizing with kind of this gross out, oh my gosh, the French fries are a shade darker because of all the extra oil. I didn't know if you know this, but in Japan, the fries are actually lighter. Maybe some of you might not want to know that about your McDonald's food, but there you go. Or then going into the bathroom at McDonald's and just being like, Mom, why aren't the toilet seats heated here? This is so strange. I really had to kind of remember how to learn to live again in the Western Hemisphere, which was supposed to be my home. So it was kind of strange. And it was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do, because the entire time it just kind of felt like somebody in my family had died or something, because I knew that I probably would never see any of my best friends from Japan again, because that's just the nature, of the military. Everybody moves. But I knew the transition from a DoD school to a public school was going to be different. I knew that. Aside from 1 year in 4th grade, I'd been in DoD schools my whole life. So I knew not to compare it to the school I was about to enter, but I really wasn't prepared for how big the difference is. The first day of school, everyone knew each other in public school. I was sat in my history class and I didn't know what to do. I was thinking, did these guys just all get classes with their friends by sheer luck or what? But the truth was that they'd all gone to school together since middle school or even before. So they already knew each other. And about 2 weeks in, I realized for the first time I was actually the new kid, which sounds funny, but even though I moved every 2 years, I'd never actually been the new kid, because in DoD schools, everyone's a new kid. And that's what makes it so cool, is that even as I integrated myself into this new community, there's this whole new batch of kids doing it with me. And so that makes it actually, ironically, what gives it all stability is that it's always changing. And I was used to that. But here, someone coming in that's new, that's different. There was just no way around that. And so even as I made friends and I kind of blended myself into this new environment, there was always this kind of invisible barrier almost in the back of my mind saying, you're used to bonding quickly, but these kids have known each other their whole lives. And I felt like I couldn't compete with that a little bit. But I do think that realizing how drastic the difference really was between DoDEA schools that I was used to and public schools, it just made me appreciate it that much more, that I'd been allowed to grow up in that kind of environment. Because when kids start a new school, they're overwhelmed and they're nervous, and so it just really makes such a difference when all the kids around them can just say, even if by just their actions, it's okay, we all felt the same way when we got here, I'll show you a new restaurant, or I'll show you around, let's just all be friends for however long we can. So I'm just really grateful, I think, more than anything, that I've been around those people my entire life. And that absolutely includes my teachers. I found that even if they were never in the military, that DoDEA teachers really do understand that those kids are just trying to adapt and to fit in the best way they can. And so they do their best to welcome those new kids, and they don't assume that, well, everyone knows this already because we did it last year, right? Okay, yeah. I cannot tell you how frustrating that is to hear as a student. But they don't do that, they welcome the new kids, and that just really makes such a difference, and it makes it all feel so much safer because everyone's in the same boat. And they relate to their students, I think they do a really good job with that, especially. They're being really relational, kind of like Trent said. It's the best when a teacher just seeks to be your friend as well. They'll ask you how you're doing, and I found that a lot in DoD schools, and you can't ever underestimate the impact that just what it'll make when a teacher when a student feels that a teacher just genuinely cares about them. And I found that a lot in DoDEA schools and just had some really fantastic teachers. And I'll tell you a little story, okay? So I was in 5th grade, and we made these little Christmas ornaments. You know how you always, used to do that in elementary school? That was what you did, and they usually had your school picture in it, and your hair's all nice and combed. But this picture was not my school picture. It was a picture that was taken a random day in class. Did I get it? Awesome. It was just a picture taken on a random day in class when I was looking like my geeky 5th grade self. And it was a picture with our teacher. Her name was Mrs. Yost. And she gave it to us in a Christmas ornament. And of all my grade school ornaments, it is the geekiest little picture of me. Like, it's awful. But I hang that thing on my tree every single year. And you know why? I'm glad you asked. Well, I hang that on my tree, and I'm going to keep it there till I'm an adult, because when she gave these things to us, she goes, I want you to keep these forever and ever, and I want you to hang them on your tree every year, because in about 15 years, when you all are like 25, I'm going to call you up. I'm going to look you up. And she was completely serious, too. We were all like, oh, my gosh, She's like, I'm going to call you up. I'm going to ask how you're doing, and I'm going to ask you if you still have my ornament. And even though it's kind of weird to think about a grade school teacher calling me when I'm 25, I've actually always really looked forward to that conversation. Weirdly enough, like, how's that gonna go, But remember me? But I just always thought that was so cool, that there are teachers out there who care about connecting with their kids 15 years after they've gone. That they don't just want to keep them for a year and then send them out into the world. But that they want to hear how the kid's doing later on, and not just academically, like, are you taking the hard classes, but personally, how are you, what's going on? And you just don't find that everywhere. And some of my favorite DoDEAs teachers, a couple of them are actually now my Facebook friends, and, like, you don't find that everywhere. And I just think that's really cool. So I think in terms of just really being relational and intentional with their students, the DoDEAs teachers are really getting it right. And so, I would choose that atmosphere over a public school one probably any day. With all that said, the public school that I'm in now, it isn't bad, I don't necessarily feel shut out by teachers or students, and they're not mean to me or anything. It's just different. There's no way around it. And it is a little harder academically, I think. I think the school that I go to now is a little bit more competitive, and they're ranked fairly high in the county, and they take pride in that, which is it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. But of course, I've kind of felt like I had a little catching up to do, because all these kids around me are used to this kind of more fast-paced learning, and I'm not. So I think my parents will attest to this fact. I don't enjoy homework at all. It's not fun, but deep down, I know that these classes are going to prepare me pretty well for college and, later for the real world. So I'm at least a little bit glad that I will have that kind of extra boost. And I'm not sure, now that I think about it, if my old DoD school would have provided me that quite as well, because I know they take into account that kids are coming from all sorts of educational backgrounds. And so I think they take that into consideration really well. But in terms of just being prepared, it's a little bit harder that way, at least for me, to be prepared for something that might be a little more challenging than what I'm used to. And I don't know, no one really tells you that, like, hey, the rest of the world might not be like this. And I don't know, maybe hearing that would have prepared me for the change better, but again, maybe not. So I think this has been healthy for me a little bit. Being forced to kind of get used to being pushed a little harder has actually taught me a lot. But at the same time, even this tough adjustment would have been harder for me if not for those years in DoD schools and in the military. I actually said to my mom a little bit after I got back into public schooling, thank goodness I'm a military child, because I would not be this good at adapting otherwise. So I think having those years, hopping between different schools and locations and having people there, like teachers, to really help me with those transitions kind of gave me the training wheels to then go out and do it myself in a public school environment. And that skill of adapting is going to be way more valuable for me in college than just taking good notes in a lecture. So I'm definitely grateful for that. And then coming back into a public school, I've also rediscovered how much fun those times are at the beginning of the year when they ask, what did you do over the summer? Because most of these kids didn't leave their town. So they all stand up, or maybe they don't stand up, but they say they went to the beach maybe, or they slept in a lot. And then it'll be my turn. And I'll just kind of lean back and casually say, I went diving with whale sharks. I hiked some temples in Cambodia, like it's no big deal. And I love that I've seen more of the world than most, and I can speak a sentence or two in more than 3 other languages. I love that. I love that I can navigate an international airport with the speed and efficiency of Jason Bourne. Whenever we take a school trip that involves like subways or airports, it is like my finest hour. I'm like, guys, I got this. It's so much fun. And I love that I can understand ridiculous sentences full of just military jargon and acronyms like a pro. And I love that one time at a gas station, an elderly man actually came up to our car, to our family, and personally thanked my dad for serving our country. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he may have even offered to pay for our gas. I don't. No? Okay. That was just me. But, okay, he didn't pay for our gas. But he did thank my dad, and that kind of stuff just makes me really proud. And I love how Army-Navy football games are just twice as awesome every year because my dad went to the Naval Academy. And Trent, you'll get that as well. It's just so much fun. And also, fun fact, in Japan, the Super Bowl comes on Monday morning because of the time zones instead of Sunday night. So about half of the school will just not come that day because they want to stay home and watch the Super Bowl. And it's like totally acceptable.
That be here policy.
Oh yeah. They're so strict. In fact, some of the kids that do come, the teachers will like discreetly like turn it on during class to see the score or something. It's so much fun. So that's something that was fun in Japan. I loved when I was younger, kind of like Alyssa said, just the amazing moment of running into your dad's arms when he came home from a deployment. That was just the best. And I love that one time, apparently it was just so picture perfect that a reporter nearby took a picture of me hugging my dad in his uniform, and then he put it in the newspaper. And I didn't bring that picture, but it's the picture that my mom was taking. And is it this one? Yes. So that's me and my dad. And you can see in the upper right-hand corner, there's a guy leaning down with his camera, kind of like that. And I'm pretty sure that's the reporter, actually, because then a few weeks later, my dad was like, hey, look, Abby, do you recognize this? And I was like, that's us. But I mean, that was always just like the best, like, highlight of the month. You know, you get to hug your dad and get a balloon animal. It's the best. In that order. And then nowadays, I love, now that, you know, not everyone's dad is a Marine, I can strike at least a little bit of fear into the hearts of teenage boys when I say that my dad's a Marine. I love that my family are the only ones who know what every single place was like for me. Teenagers, they love complaining about their parents. I mean, it's, you know, their number one pastime. But when I hear stuff like that at school, I kind of have this moment where I realize that I love my parents. Like, I don't know if that makes me uncool, but I do. I mean, changing locations so often, it just gets you closer to your family than anyone else. And I love that. I love that I have my strongest relationships with my parents and with my brother. And I'll always keep that. And I love that friendships and relationships just mean so much more to me when I've learned to cherish them for only a few years at a time. And I think that DoDEAs teachers really get that for me. So I just want to thank you guys all for doing what you do. It's definitely made an impact on my life. So thank you.
Is there any surprise that she's going to be majoring in theater and creative writing? And imagine having that kind of poise as a junior. You know, so thank you for sharing your story. Thank you, parents, for giving us the gift of time to spend with your children. I think Abby, too, has called us to action a bit, has she not? As great as things are, and we reflect back on Dr. Klein's observations this morning. And he said that a message to us in his observation of one of our schools was we need to be thinking more about rigor. And I think you've done that. You've amplified that point for us. I don't know whether Dr. Klein met you also and saw your notes. I'm not sure. But there are two important messages for us from children who are talking about their experience with DoDEA. I think Stafford County should be pleased and honored to have you among their student body. And I know we are proud of all three of you in our schools and in our experience. And each one of you has brought something special to our lives today. Whether we think about transitions and how we need to support our children, you can't have academic success. You can't steel yourself from the emotion of a parent departure unless you have caring teachers, great curriculum, and you have opportunities to be heard and to be understood. And I think that's what all schools should do for all children, and Alyssa, you told us that. We're going to think about our college and career readiness in a very special way, and we're going to ask you to come back, and maybe you can consult with us. How would you like that, Trent? You're not just going to be down in Annapolis. I mean, we'll put you on there. And we will continue our relationship with you, Abby, too, and we'll think about it. We have been talking about the rigor in DoDEA, so it is a major topic for us. So let us hear now about how one of our great teachers does it. And I'd like to bring to the podium Lynn Low. Come on up, Lynn. Lynn has 25 years of teaching experience, and she's been a teacher at Quantico Middle and High School for 22 years. You know this well. You know this job. You get it. You understand these children. I'm sure as you listen to them, it is a day back in school, a place of comfort for you. You've taught a variety of subjects, so much like DoDEA, from history, science, math, and economics. So when we talk about a multidiscipline teacher, we have her here. What's interesting and special, I think, about Lynn is that she was a DoDEA student, and how very special and how familiar that's becoming to all of us, where we are hiring the children of our teachers. I'm sure that enlightens you in a way and provides a frame of reference for you that's unique among teachers. And we'll be interested in hearing about how being a student shapes your experience as a teacher today. No surprise that you are a Teacher of the Year. And no surprise, too, that she emphasizes the importance of accountability in her classrooms. And I'm sure when you heard the students, you can understand and appreciate the importance of ensuring that all kids get what we give them, especially when they're highly mobile. They must be able to make these transitions smoothly. And so the work that you're doing for us and focusing on accountability is absolutely the right direction. I know you don't like homework. That's kind of part of the accountability thing, but it's a really good thing. Welcome, Lynn, to DoDEA. Thanks for sharing your time with us.
I am the military child. I almost jumped up and tackled Trent and Abby. It's like, no, those are my speeches. That's my speech. Only 30, 40 years later. I will always be a military child. Once a military child, always a military child. Having said that, the only difference now is that I educate the military child. First grade, 29 Palms Elementary School, California. Second grade, Dumfries Elementary. Dad transferred to Quantico. Third and fourth grade, John H. Russell, Quantico. Fifth grade, Monroe, Louisiana. My dad was sent to Vietnam. In those days, we had to leave the base. We could not attend the schools. Sixth grade, happily, my dad returned safely. Cherry Point, North Carolina, Ashers Elementary, Quantico. Seventh and eighth grade, Quantico High School. Ninth grade, Paris Island, Beaufort, Robert Smalls. 10th grade, Dad sent overseas again, Salina, Kansas. 11th grade, happily again, my father returned safely, Salina, Kansas. Stafford High School, waiting for base housing, Quantico High School. Do we see a pattern here? Do we see it? When people ask me about home, in fact, Norma Jean asked me, my home, I always kind of hesitate and go, well, we moved all over Quantico. That was my home. Every time we left the school systems, the military school systems, and went into the civilian world, I was held up as an example. My siblings were held up, my friends, because we respected the system. We respected the teachers. We brought into a form of authority that we recognized and appreciated. We brought in knowledge, life experiences that people that lived in the same town did not have. As a result of that, I feel as a military child and an educator, I'm going to piggyback on their lectures. And believe it or not, we did not collaborate. But I'm thinking, oh no, oh, there I go again, there's mine. Number one, as a military child, as an educator, we need a new diploma that makes us competitive with surrounding schools. We have a standard diploma. It does not showcase our best and our brightest. We are competing with honors diplomas, academic diplomas, advanced diplomas, diplomas with state seals. We need to be able to be competitive. Secondly, back up that diploma with rigor. Challenge us. I'm a product of this environment. We can do it. If you want us to become scientists, technicians, engineers, mathematicians, STEM, we have to be trained and we have to be challenged. Thirdly, let us fail. We are not perfect. We are children. We make silly mistakes over and over and over. Let us fail. Hold us accountable. We've all made mistakes in this classroom, in this room, and we've learned from them. And sometimes they hurt, but it made us better people, self-determined, self-aware, self-control. It's all right to fail. That's part of the learning process. Side note, my career as a military child in military schools was not perfect. I did not make straight A's. Back then, most of us didn't. I was not always on the honor roll. When I applied for the Junior Honor Society, I didn't make it the first time. I asked, well, what happened? You need more community service hours. Okay, learn to work within the system. I was not chosen for junior varsity cheerleading squad. That I'm still bitter about. That's going to take a few more years. That is still. After Tech, Virginia Tech, George Mason, I did a year, I was a long-term sub at Quantico High School. 4 times in that year, positions opened up. That doesn't happen at Quantico. We don't leave Quantico High School. 4 times the administration asked me, apply, put in your, and I had the paperwork and I passed the interviews. 4 times I was not chosen. Military humor here. Spousal preference. Kicked me out. Ha 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 ha. I survived. It's all right. I didn't give up. Things I want also. Number 3, after the accountability, after the failures, 4, teachers, DoDEA teachers, DoDEAs, DoDEAs, step up, be professionals. Don't be intimidated. You are professionals, you are the experts. Lastly, parents, honor us. Honor the system that DoDEA is offering in education. Respect is not just a body of work. It's just not knowledge and facts. We're teaching soft skills that will follow you for the rest of your lives. Take pride in your work. Do your own work. Show up on time. Show up. Attendance is not an option. We can't educate you. We can't challenge you if you're not in the classroom. Speaking of parents, 1st grade, 29 Palms Elementary. I'm sitting there, mesmerized. There's this big bowl of M&Ms on my teacher's desk, and I'm just staring. Just thrilled. She's asking questions. What do you want to do when you grow up? I'm not going to grow up. I'm not going to be old. I just want to stare. I'm sitting there. She goes, Lynn, what do you want to do? Teacher, math. I don't know why I said that. I never thought about it. I didn't want to be a math teacher in 1st grade. I was 5 years old. She starts to walk away. Good, walk away, walk away. Let me go back. She comes back. Boys are better. Boys are smarter at math and science than girls. If you wanted to be a teacher, you should go into English or reading. Okay, back to the M&Ms. Didn't think about it. That night, working on homework, my dad was sitting in this teeny tiny little kitchen Formica table, and he's going over math facts. Remember, first grade, 6 times 4. Remember flashcards? Any of you old enough? 6 times? 24. And I go, my teacher said, I wasn't telling on her, I'm just chatting. My teacher said that boys are smarter at math and science than girls. My dad doesn't say much. He goes, are they? I went, no. He said, prove it. Can you imagine this day and age if a teacher said anything even close to that? First of all, the parents would come running back into the building. The teacher would be put on administrative leave, probably. TMZ, CNN, Fox would be at her door wanting a sound bite, chasing her around. And then for the rest of that young girl's life, every time she made a poor choice, a bad decision, it was the teacher. Instead, my father, every night, when he wasn't in Vietnam or Korea or Okinawa, we went over homework, especially math. Approximately 25 years after that conversation, I received a call from Quantico High principal, my former 8th grade math teacher. Lynn, we have an opening in science and math. I went, are you insane? I cannot do that walk of shame down Quantico halls one more time. I can't do it. Meantime, I'm running around the house looking for my papers, looking for my files. I was hired. I taught side by side with many, many teachers that taught me, fabulous teachers that challenged me, sometimes made me cry, made me be better than I ever thought I could be. Jump ahead, 25 years later from that phone call from my 8th grade math teacher, here I am today. I'm very old, very old. This is my 25th year teaching at Quantico. I am currently or have taught biology, AP Bio, anatomy and physiology, human genetics. We'll be teaching biotech next year, have taught geometry, and just about anything else. I am the military child. I am a product of all of this, and I'm proud to say so. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Well, Lynn gives us a message too, doesn't she? So she wants that professional development, and we get that and we understand that. Your diploma, well, if there's some heart, Lynn, in this, where's David? Is David here and his group who are working on graduation requirements? We are looking at our diplomas. And we are looking at differentiated diplomas, and we were talking about the seals on diplomas and the ones for academic rigor and so on. So we hear you. We haven't made a decision yet, but we're in the process of looking at all those requirements. Thank you for what you do. I'd like to present all of you with a little coin and a certificate to thank you for sharing your experience with us. I don't think it's easy to get up at any age, really, and any life experience to talk about yourself and your experience. And to do it with such ease and confidence as our 4 guests have, I think is a tribute to themselves and to their parents, their communities, and all that they have brought from within themselves to this point. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for being a part of us. I think we cast a different lens today, don't we? We've met our children. We've met a teacher. We've met their parents. This is a really personal gig for us. This is not just something that we walk in and we do. The bar is set very high, and it's tough meeting that bar at times. But know that we do that with a sense of compassion, a sense of intelligence, and a deep and abiding commitment to those of you who put your lives on the line for this country. You deserve nothing less but a top-notch education for your children. And we in DoDEA are here to ensure that there are the many, many, many sacrifices that you make for this nation, the education of your children will not be among them. We take your suggestions to heart, and I promise to our children and to our parents, to our teachers, that we will continue to strive to be better. So thank you. Thank you, DoDEA, for being a part of this, and hopefully you've enjoyed your second speaker series and feel somehow we've touched our future, have we not? So if you'll just join me in congratulating them and giving them a little memento of their experience. Alyssa. Lynn, thank you. Thanks for all you do. I said to Lynn, we're going to put her on the graduation committee. Thank you. Thank you, Julia. Thank you for putting this on and for your team. Whomever you are out here, thank you so very much for you do. Good luck, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day and week. Take care. Thank you. And I'll walk you guys down. Good? Thanks, everybody.